Yeah, what's good, YouTube? Dylan here. Going through my Tearlament deck profile that you'll see on the replays. I forgot to add it, so I thought maybe I can take the chance to talk to you about it. I'm just I'm preparing for the regional coming up in Texas. I'm hoping to get another Nats invite. This time I want to get it with Tearlament, and then I'll actually follow through and go to Nats this time. But yeah. So we'll start with the deck list. Definitely, definitely just like bear with me when I talk about deck theory, and I'm always open to new suggestions and stuff, so please like let me know in the comments. All right, man, let's get started. I played two tier limits Rhino Heart. I know some people play three, but I also think most people who play three Rhino Heart are probably playing the Toad and Bahamut package. I'm not playing the Toad and Bahamut package, so I don't really think I can justify playing three Rhino. I can search it anyway, so it's not like I'm only playing like two. Technically I'm playing you know eight, eight right now. So anyway, playing three of each tier limit, standard, and then I'm playing three tier limit Kashtira. This card is the only reason why I'm playing the deck. Without this card, this deck would be bad, super bad. It allows you to play on your turn, your opponent's turn. It's just really good. Trigger Scream whenever you want. You can sack somebody with some mills, and it's honestly really big when planets on field. So that's like a real thing. That's a viable just a nice thing to have. Definitely think this card is a three of. If you're playing two, like I think you should at least test with three. Three King of the Swamp, standard. And then here's the most controversial thing on my deck. I played two Beast King of the Swamps. Um, so when I was testing this deck, like I was testing it, my first iteration of the deck, I was always feeling like, oh man, if I didn't have King of the Swamp in the grave, I was losing, or like if I didn't have King of the Swamp, like I'd be forced into bad fusion plays like Mud Dragon or Gorilla that don't really do anything. And that's usually what I find people going into Mud Dragon for, so they can go Mud Dragon into Bahamut Shark and stuff, and that's why people play three of this. But like ever since I went to Beast King of the Swamps and bumped it up to five this is basically King of the Swamp. I'm just gonna reference this as King of the Swamp. But ever since I'm playing five copies of this card, it's been so much easier. Like I love milling either King of the Swamp or Beast King because they're just great mills. You need them in your graveyard if you ever want to fusion summon. It just fills the gap that I feel like the deck needed, because at one point it was like, oh, I really hope I mill a Tearlament, but it's also like, oh, I really hope I mill King of the Swamp because I need that in the grave first. Well, now it's like, now that you bumped up to five, like I'm always milling the swamp guys, and then now I'm only like, oh, like hopefully I mill a tier. Like, or like I can send a tier. It doesn't make the deck too RNG anymore, because it covers one half of the problem. But also it's level 4, so you can go into redo or Baguska and then make a Zeus. That's some really good synergy there, just because it's a vanilla level 4. I don't consider this card the brick at the same time. I love being like sheer in effect, pitch this card, and then if I do Militaire, I know I'm gonna pop off and make a fusion. Yeah, so really good. I know the Revolution. Well, one more thing. I know the Revolution Synchron build is talking about playing this over King of the Swamp because it's level 4 and you make Ancient Fairy. Just gonna touch on that deck real quick. I don't think that's the correct way to play like Tearlament. I feel like there's a lot more choke points in that version than there is in this one, and it's a lot harder to break boards. Um, so I just like just trust me. Like at least put one more in your deck after you realize like milling these and like always having a swamp to fuse with is just so good, so good. So moving on, I play three Diviner. Um, some people play this at two because they're probably playing three Rhino Hearts, but I'm playing two Rhino Hearts, so I'm playing three Diviner. I'd rather normal summon Diviner than Rhino Heart any day of the week. It's just so good. It helps you make Baron, helps you mill five. It's just a great card. And then even if they do negate it, you can still go into a sprint. So there's still like ways to play like after it gets negated. With a Rhino Heart, it's kind of just there for you to make like a redoer. And they both have their pros and cons. I just prefer Diviner. For the best cards in the game, like wouldn't be tier without these. And then I play Shaddoll Squamata and Beast. This is pretty standard. I seen people playing like a Falco or like they're playing a third Shaddoll like Hell Shaddoll. I don't think that's correct because Hell Shaddoll is like a big brick. Like if you draw Beast, you're like, dang, I drew Beast. Well, like imagine drawing Hell Shaddoll. Like, it does absolutely nothing for you. And even if you do mill Hell Shaddoll, you're most likely milling one card. So I just don't think it's worth it. You're basically just playing an upstart at that point. You might as well like play an actual card that you want to mill or like something that's more util. So going on to the spells, 3 planet. I did not play this deck of full power. I just picked it up after playing Master Duel with it. But man, I Planet is just so good. Man, everyone knows it. Everyone knows how good Planet is. So I'm not gonna talk about it. So anyway, so I played one Pressured Planet. Um, I like it. I like Pressured Planet a lot. Just get an additional search, additional tier cache. I know people are probably wondering, well, if I'm playing Planet, why aren't I playing Fenrir? Well, the thing is like I don't really like playing cards I can't fuse with, because I always want my fusions to be live. I always want them to be like meaningful. And not saying Fenrir is a bad card and it's not meaningful, but I think Fenrir is just you walk into draw with it. Like if I go Pressured Planet, add Fenrir, which I will if I play it. I'll always do that. I'll just get drilled. My turn's like basically over. I'll just have to spell summon it and hope they can't get past the Fenrir, which they will. So and it's so much easier if you're like Pressured Planet, add Tier Cache, then they drill you where you're like, oh, okay, well I'll be milling from now on. It's not like I'm gonna add. So, and even if you do add Fenrir and add Tier Cache, you can't use Tier Cache until unless you have a tier card in your hand. But it's kind of whatever. I tested with Fenrir. This was my first build. I was testing it. And I was testing it without the Beast Kings, but this build felt really bad, so I went ahead and tested this, and I thought this one was a lot better. So I definitely think you should play one Pressured Planet though, just for the extra tier cache search, and and the attack boost is pretty good, same as other planet. So moving on, I'm playing 3 Scream. I've seen some people play 2. I think most of those builds that we're playing 2 is a synchro build, but I definitely think we should stay away from the synchro build and play this build and play Scream at 3. And the reason why is because you can play on your turn, your opponent's turn. Also the quote unquote hidden effect. Your opponent's monsters lose 500 for the whole turn. And some people forget that. And you might like sneak a battle phase that you shouldn't have won just because they attacked into something that they didn't know that was bigger than them. Um, or people who are just unfamiliar with Scream because it's been a while. But I love milling this card. I love drawing this card. This card is really good. One poly goes to Swamp Kings. Foolish Burial, probably the best spell in your deck besides the Tearlament field spell, because this card gets you to all 7 of these, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's just pretend there's a 7th there. Just can't count. But like Foolish Burial Goods, I love drawing this card. You can send Trivi Karma, and then activate Planet, and then when you search, they're gonna be like they're gonna chain Droll like on resolution, and then you can chain Trivi Karma. Now that you know they have Droll, you can get one more search, and you're most likely searching Scream, so you don't have to like search anymore, or searching for whatever you need. So I really like putting Trivi Karma in the grave, seeing if I can bait a Droll or anything, and then like chain to it. Other than that, adds any card you need, so it's really good. One God card, Terraforming, and one Grief. I think people are starting to play this. Yeah, like, I think everyone's starting to realize how good Grief is now in this version of Tearlament that we're currently in, since everything's at 1. Grief is just really good. You know, it can revive your Collider Heart and get you back in the game. Or you know, you can mill it and add a trap back. It adds a kind of like a grind sense. You know, like later mid game, you know, you can mill a Grief, get a trap back, which could be pretty big. Or you can, you know, like special summon a card that gets you a free fusion. It's a one card fusion. Trivi Karma, this is the sole brick of the deck. This is the only card that you can't do anything with. If you draw this, it feels terrible, you know? Sometimes, you know, you can set it and trigger a planet pop the Trivi Karma so you can get a search. But, you know, that's like the best case scenario. The worst case scenario, you know, you just set it and bluff. Moving on. Tearlament Metal Noise. Some people were saying, like, just this was only for the cash matchup. This card is not only for the cash matchup. Like, it's true if you're playing against Kashtira. Yeah, you might as well just like, you know, take a lunch break or something, like as someone would say. But yeah, like if you're playing Kashtira, you're most likely not gonna win. Sorry to break it to you, especially that game one. But I play this because you know it's good against every other deck. You know, it's good against every deck. Like a Book of Moon is just a solid card. Not only does it do that, it like you know has a mill effect. You know, grabbing a tier cache from your graveyard is pretty big sometimes, or any tier name. Uh, I just I just can't I can't keep myself like from cutting this card. Like I don't want to cut this card. Like I love like having Solik in hand, milling Scream, and adding both traps. Having both traps is so good. It's just so good for the board that you make. And moving on, some people were playing two Solic. I think that's more of the Revolution Dragon, Revolution Synchron build. Uh, I love I love Solic. I love drawing it. I love milling it. You know, I think it's a great card. You know, and most of all, like you know, I think you have to play these two at 3 because the advantage you get off of milling one of these is just so good. You know, you can extend further. Your board gets infinitely better. And yeah, so onto the extra deck. Uh, I play one Rook. You know, standard. You know, standard. Standard, standard. You know, this extra deck kind of looks like pretty similar to everyone else's, right? The one thing I will say about Garua, I find myself not making it too much. There is a time where I did make it, but ever since adding Beast King of the Swamps, I never have to make a bad fusion. Like I feel like most people play this card because they're not playing Beast King and they don't have King of the Swamps in the grave, so they send like a Havness and then they have to fuse with like a Murley or something, and then they have to make a Gorilla. Like I feel like no one's making this card because they want to, more like because they have to. And so ever since I added more King of the Swamp names in my grave, I've never found myself making this card. Like I'd always make, you know, Grapha, Rook, or like any of the other ones. So I think this is definitely a card you can cut if you know a better extra deck card that you have in mind. Because I don't play Super Poly in this build. I think Super Poly. I think the card economy in this deck is like really tough. It's hard to really like stay positive and also like out resource your opponent. So like I think Super Poly like negging one and shit, making a Garua like I just don't really think it's that good. So I don't play Super Poly. Um, I play one Baguska. You know, I feel like I have to. In the worst hands, you know, the worst scenario, you can make a Baguska. Hope you live. Not only that, I chose this over any other rank 4 besides Time Thief because it's untargetable. You know, and against the Sky Striker matchup or some other matchups that you have, it's pretty big to be untargetable. You know, you can attack something and you know make a Zeus. So I think the untargetable just protects you for that matchup and like some few other ones. You know, Zeus, Redoer, and everyone should know what this does if you're watching Tearlament deck. This is the best Xyz ever. And then Sprint. Some people I see in a deck list were cutting Sprint. And I agree with them. You know, sometimes it doesn't come up or I don't find myself making it. I actually do find myself making it. Me personally, like you know, like sometimes all I need is like put a Murley. Like I'll manage my deck where I'll always keep the Murley in my deck, so I can always go into a sprint. I try to always recycle the Murley just for that comeback scenario. I'm glad I have it too. Overall, I can't really think of a better extra deck card to put besides Friend, so I'm gonna keep it in there for now. Dark. This is only for you to help you make Sprint. That's about it. Baron, the best level 10 synchro ever, and then Chaos Angel. This is also one of those flex spots, kind of right up there with Guru and Sprint. But so this is the only time Garua actually helped me. I made a Garua one time, and it had a Sheeran on board, and so I synchroed into Chaos Angel. Went Chainlink 1, Chaos Angel, Chainlink 2, Garua, and I got the out a free card on the field, and I like chain blocked, and that was the only time that felt really good. So like I've done it twice in my entire time playing. And I'm glad it's there. It's just it's just most of the time, if you have a tuner on field or something, you're making Baron. And this is the times where you don't have a tuner on the field. So onto the side deck. Some people have a problem with the side deck. Just like not my side deck, but side decking in Tearlament in general, because it's a very space heavy deck. Um, I'm really finding the perfect number of cards aside is about 6 to 8. Most likely 6 because you don't want to be too inconsistent. But so let's go over it. 3 Dark Ruler. Like you're in my mind, I'm playing cards that like if I drew one card, it'll blow out the match. I just want to play blowout cards. So like this card will give me a chance to play against Medanium or Infernoble or Tearlament. Like granted, if they don't have a counter trap, that of course that's the big if they didn't have their judgments or anything else. And like all you're really asking is for a chance, against combo decks. Like that's probably the biggest matchup against this deck. It's not really trap decks. Trap decks and like mid range decks aren't the problem. You can always play through it. But combo decks that start up a 5 negate board or something, yeah, you just gotta hope you draw Dark Ruler and end it. This is for Branded, me personally. I'm very scared of Branded. So I play 3 Ash. 3 Droll, same thing as the combo deck. If you can prevent the board, it's probably because you drolled them and they kind of just passed turn. This is so good against Infinite Medanium, Tearlament. This also makes Sword Soul really awkward because if they like pot Azarias, you can droll them. Then like they can't emergence, they can't Moye draw one, She Shall draw one, Surge. I think droll is just a solid card, and then it kills Dragon Link also, and Dragon Link's probably your worst matchup. I mean besides Cash, of course. And then I play one crime. I'll always side this if I get the side, going game 3. If I'm going first, I'm always siding crime. 3 Nib, just another one of those cards I think it's a blowout, against greedy players. Uh, and also like for the most part, against greedy players, this will save you the match. So I think this is really good. And then these are the 2 flex spots on the side. I can't really think of what else to play. But if I win game 1, game 2, I don't know if I'm going first or second. I'll most likely put triple tactics in, just because it's just a solid card. Just really good. So for side out targets, if after game 1, you should probably side out the Shaddols, 1 Beast King of the Swamp, 1 Diviner, the Trivi Karma, and most likely one of these 2 traps, whether or not like what works, like what's a like if Meta Noise is dead against the matchup, just side it out. You don't want to draw that card. Or sometimes I find myself cutting Griefs or 1 Goods. I think those cards are the only like cuttable cards in the side deck. If you want to side anything out, because everything else is a must. Like this whole top row is a must. You want to keep 1 Beast King because you really want King of the Swamps in. Moving this to 2 isn't the worst, worst thing ever. You want all your spells and stuff. You want everything else. I think that's the meat of the deck. But you can side out Trivia Karma, maybe Meta Noise, Grief, Goods, Shit Dolls, one of that. So that'll open up 6 to 8 spots in your side deck, so that'll help a lot. And 6 to 8 cards, that's 3 of these, and those 2. Or 3 of these, 3 of those 2. Like that's how I kind of built it. So that way I can always just like throw in 2 if I really feel like I need talents. Or like And also I found like if I'm playing against combo decks, sometimes I'll just side like all like 3 of these, 3 of these, 2 of these, because you really need to draw them. Because if they go full combo and you don't draw a side deck card, you most likely lost. Like, at least in the combo decks right now in the format. But yeah, that was my deck list. If anyone has any like objections or any comments, concerns, go ahead and throw it in the comments. I love to get better. I would love some encouragement, not encouragement, better ideas for the deck. So last few words. I just hope you all try this card out. I'm a big fan of this, and yeah, that's it. Peace.